This is a to-the-point video. It is a condensed version of the full review. I will not answer questions in the comments section for this video. Please watch the full review if you want detailed information. The link to the full review will be in the description section below. The Hidizs MS2 is the newest Hidizs IEM to date. It's $90, which puts it in direct competition with the popular Moondrop Starfield. The MS2 is made of plastic, though is light and sturdy. It fits snugly yet comfortably in my ears. The MS2's accessories are perfectly agreeable. The cable is covered with a plastic sheath. It's not the best nor the worst. It is a 2-pin connection with a permanent ear hook. The MS2 comes with 2 types of silicone ear tips. One has a narrow opening and the other has a wider opening. Each type has 3 different sizes. This means that you get 6 pairs of ear tips in total. The MS2 also comes with a sturdy metal protective case that is large enough for the IEM, cable, and all the ear tips. The MS2 has a fairly W-shaped sound signature. The sub-bass seems to be close to neutral. However, mid-bass is elevated. Sub-bass and mid-bass meld slightly, resulting in about average clarity. I would not say that the MS2 sounds boomy, but drums do tend to sound louder than other instruments in a mix. Drum strikes have a sharp, thwacking sound effect. Decay is as normal as with any other dynamic driver headphone or IEM. The mid's response provides correct timbre, I think. Instruments sound like they should. Nothing sounds distorted or screechy or out of phase. Vocals are forward and jump ahead of all instruments. There is noticeable vocal sibilance and grain for both male and female artists. The sibilance is very similar to that of the HD560S. It was just below my personal pain threshold. The treble is elevated and energetic. Brass and horns cut through the other sounds like hot knife through butter. They do not sound harsh or peaky, but they do have more energy than what you might hear with more neutral headphones. The MS2 is generally clear from the mids to treble frequencies. Pops and sizzles, creaking of wood, sharp intakes of breaths, plucking of guitar strings, gravelly nuances to singers are all easily audible on the MS2. However, the MS2 is not a king of detail. In fact, although the MS2 provides average to above average clarity and detail, it does not render details that were missing altogether from other IEMs I tested. The MS2 has slightly above average soundstage. It is similar to the T2, greater than the Starfield. The MS2 never presented depth or verticality. There is no 3D or holographic effect with this IEM. I compared the MS2 against the hifi T2, Ibasso IT00, and Moondrop Starfield. The T2 is the closest in sound signature to the MS2. The T2 has a sub-bass roll-off compared to the MS2, but more neutral mid-bass than the MS2 does. Both IEMs exhibit sibilance, but the T2 has less of it. Both IEMs have similar treble reproduction, but the MS2 might be just a little bit more energetic and slightly more clear. The IT00 is overall the smoothest IEM I tested here. Its bass response is elevated more than the MS2. Sub-bass on the IT00 is more present than on the MS2. Mid-bass is also elevated a bit more on the IT00, but the MS2 has greater energy to drum strikes. The MS2 has more clarity than the IT00 in the bass region. The IT00 has more neutral, noticeably smoother mids without sibilance emphasis. The IT00 has smoother treble, closer to neutral presentation. The MS2 has wider soundstage, but the detail retrieval is fairly close between these products. The Starfield has a bass response that is similar to that of the MS2. However, the MS2 provides sharper drum strikes. The MS2 appears to be clearer in the bass region. The Starfield has smoother mids presentation than the MS2, but not as smooth as the IT00. The Starfield slightly accentuates sibilance, but it is more controlled than on the MS2. The Starfield has smoother treble presentation. In fact, it is the least fatiguing of these IEMs I tested. The Starfield seems to have a treble roll-off that makes listening at loud volumes possible. The MS2 has wider soundstage and slightly clearer detail retrieval. Overall, the MS2 has a sound signature that is different enough to consider. I cannot say it is unique or special, however. Because the Chinese IEM market is saturated with countless options, it is entirely possible another IEM sounds nearly the same as the MS2. However, when compared against the T2, IT00, and Starfield, the MS2 does provide a sound signature that is different. I suspect people will either hate or love the MS2. Its sibilance will be a major issue for some. The $90 price tag will be a problem for others. If you are looking for a smooth, relaxing experience, then I really cannot recommend the MS2. If you want a balanced sound signature, I think you have other options to consider. Indeed, for a smoother, more relaxing sound, I would direct you towards the IT00 or IT01 or the Bequez Spring 1. If you want a balanced sound, then the Starfield or Eco OH1 might be your cup of tea. Moreover, if you think you might like the MS2's general sound signature but are a bit concerned about the sibilance, then I think you may want to look at the hifi T2 or T2+. Only you can decide if this IEM suits your music and listening preferences. The MS2 is not the end-all be-all of sub-$100 IEMs, but it also does its job quite competently. The bottom line is that the MS2 does seem to offer value at its current MSRP, but I think this is the limit. If this IEM goes up in price, I'd be very hesitant to give it a passing value assessment.